Today's webinar is designing online or hybrid courses with manageable workloads for students and instructors. And presenting today is Yvette Sands from CTE and Vera Polyakova Norwood from nursing. So I will go ahead and let them take over, and make sure again that you please put your name, department, role, and email into the chat log. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Michelle, for that. But again, my name is Dr. Yvette Sands. I work with CTE, and I teach some classes for ITT, so I will be one of the presenters, and then I'll allow Vera to tell you a little bit about herself before we get started.
Hi, good morning, and I am Vera Polyakova Norwood. I serve in the role of Director of Distributed Learning at the College of Nursing, and that simply means that I work with those faculty who teach online or who teach in a hybrid mode, and help them put together courses that indeed are manageable both for themselves and the students. Well, it doesn't always happen, but that's what we aim for.
All right, thank you, Vera. So we will get started. So why this topic? Why are you here today? What are we going to talk about? As you all are well aware, due to the pandemic and other factors, faculty as well as students are facing some challenging times. One of the main concerns of both groups have been their workloads, or how much time they are required to do their work in a specific time frame. Okay, so why has there been an increased workload for both faculty and for students? Let's think about it. Faculty have increased workloads due to the different modalities. We have faculty teaching online, we have some faculty teaching both, we have faculty teaching hybrid. Now they're trying to manage logistics, teaching online, teaching in face-to-face, bringing those classes together, learning Blackboard Collaborate. They're having to grade, track attendance, whether it's track attendance face-to-face, track attendance online, track attendance in their hybrid courses. Are students participating? Are their cameras on? Are their cameras off? Do we have to require their cameras to be on or off? So faculty are seeing these dynamics that have had an impact on their workloads. In addition, let's think about the students. Whereas before, a student may dabble and take 1 or 2 online classes, but now we have students who are taking multiple online classes, or they're taking hybrid classes and online classes and face-to-face. And a lot of the students report that they're struggling with just understanding the logistics of it all. So today, what we are going to do, we're going to talk a little bit about online teaching, we're going to talk about hybrid teaching face-to-face. All the information that we're presenting to you today can be applied to all the different modalities. Okay, so I thought this was very interesting. I'll kind of give you a minute to take a look at this slide. I think this kind of sums up in some ways what our life is like right now. What we're here to do today is that we are going to talk to you about a few things. If you're feeling a little overwhelmed, or if you just simply want some more information to learn about best practices for managing your workloads and also helping your students manage their workloads, then you are absolutely in the right place. Because today we're going to talk about how you can organize your course for easy navigation and information retrieval. We're even going to consider asking you to just set up a consistent course schedule and how that can benefit the students. We'll discuss engaging activities and automated grading and how that too can have an impact on your workload. And finally, we will discuss and identify effective communication strategies. So those are the things that we will talk about today. Okay, so let's talk about student and faculty workload. First of all, how is student workload determined? In the past or traditionally, for students, the rule of thumb has traditionally been that for every 1 hour of credit, students should spend 3 hours studying or something related to that class. So a 3-hour course would equal 9 hours a week for one course. On the average, a student may take a 15-hour course load. That means that it's expected that the student who's taken that 15-hour course load would dedicate at least 45 hours a week to those classes. Okay, is that feasible? Let's think about that. How do you determine a workload, or how do you determine what assignments you're going to give students, or how many assignments, or what type of assignments? I mean, we're not saying there's a wrong or a right answer. We're just asking you to think about it. There's a tool that was developed by some faculty at Wake Forest University. It's called the Workload Estimator. I think Michelle's going to bring that up for us. But again, it was developed by faculty at Wake Forest. Basically, what this does, it allows you to enter the students' assignments, such as their readings, their discussion posts, their writing assignments, et cetera, and you enter this information into this form. Then the form will provide an output of the student workload, or how long it takes the student to complete the assignments for your class. Again, there's no right or wrong answer. We're just asking you to think for it. A tool for you to get some, it's just a tool for you to get some general information about how your assignments in your class coincide with student workloads. So we thought that was a neat tool. We will drop that in the chat at the end so that you'll have it. So when you're thinking about workloads and your students' workload, that's a tool that you may want to consider using. Okay? So when we're talking about workloads, is 45 hours a week feasible for a student? When you're designing your workloads and you're thinking about the assignments, how do you personally determine the number of assignments you're going to give a student? What factors play into that? And then think about these specialty classes where there's practicums and there's field studies. How do they factor into your equation about student workload? Are you giving students enough work? Are you overloading students? How does that play? All of these things we have to consider when we talk about or even think about student workloads. So Michelle's going to put up a quick poll just to get some feedback from you all. How many hours do you think your students spend on your course? And we're going to say in general, this is a 3-hour course. How many hours a week? And we'll get about 4 to 6 hours a week. All right. Just interesting. And you all can see the numbers up there. Most people here, most of you all who are in this presentation, think that students probably spend 4 to 6 hours a week just on that one class. So if we go to the max, let's say they're taking 55 classes, that's again 30 hours a week. It's just interesting to see how that plays in. So again, think about it. Is it feasible with the pandemic? Some students are on campus, some are at home, some are working. But when you start to think about assignments, think about your students and definitely have them in mind. All right, now let's kind of briefly talk about the faculty workload. And again, this is for information purposes only. We're different faculty, different departments have their own formulas and procedures as how they determine workload. So again, a department may have a procedure as to how many classes the instructor has to teach. Some professors or instructors, it may be a self-determined workload. You determine how much time you're going to spend on each class. How does class size factor? Does your workload increase if you have a class with 100 students versus 25 students? If you have a class with 100 students, are you still required to teach 4 classes? Or does that reduce the amount of classes that you teach? So how much time, so another question that we're going to put just to kind of get you all think about workloads, how much time a week should faculty dedicate to teaching a 3-hour course? This is in a week. How much time are you dedicating to teaching a 3-hour course? You'll see here it ranges anywhere from 4 to 10 hours, depending on the class. And if you're teaching, let's say, 4 classes, that could be 40 hours a week, et cetera, et cetera. So what we want to do is just give you some best practices about managing workloads. We set the stage for you to start thinking about student workloads and your workload. Now, let's kind of focus on how we can manage those workloads. So part 2, let's talk about some effective ways that you can manage your courses or the course workload in large online classes. Consistency is the key. Consistency has benefits for both the faculty and the students. Why consistency? Well, consistency helps keep students organized, and it really helps manage their expectations. For example, if a student is taking, let's say, a biology class, and if the schedule is consistent, they get in a routine that every Tuesday, for example, I have an assignment due in biology. Or every Thursday, I have an assignment due in biology. And that helps manage their expectations, and it helps them plan effectively as well. So another thing is to decide when your weeks begin. For example, every Monday, do you start a new chapter or do you start a new module? Keeping that consistency within your classes, again, it helps manage expectations for students, and it helps keep them organized, especially when they're taking multiple classes. Let's say they're taking a biology class and a Spanish class and an economics class. And if there's some consistency in their schedule, again, it just helps the students organize. Another best practice is to set out due dates at the same time of the week or the same time of the hour. Let's go back to that biology class. So that biology class, the student knows every Tuesday at 8 o'clock, I have an assignment due. And that doesn't change throughout the semester. So again, managing expectations. Again, from a faculty standpoint, consider when you'll be able to review and grade submitted work. For example, if you decide, okay, I'm going to set aside time on Fridays to grade assignments, or I'm going to do it on the weekend, or I'm going to do it on Monday. So let's say if you say Fridays is going to be my grading day, then have the assignments due on Thursdays or Wednesdays to allow you that time to grade it. And also, I think, again, managing expectations for you and your students. Let your students know you've submitted this assignment. It may take me 3 or 4 days to grade it. Okay, so make sure that there's a consistent schedule there. And then you can also consider due dates in other courses that the student may be taking. So think about this. How can this be managed? Your class and then the student schedule. Well, there's several things that you can do. You can work together as a department. Most students are taking classes within a department. Talk to people in the department. Talk about when they have large projects are due for their students. And if all else fails, talk to your students. See what their schedule is. Talk to them and get to know them and work with them in coming up with a good schedule. So those are some best practices in regards to consistency. Other tips for effective organization is at CTE, I think we have an amazing template that you can use to help organize your class. And Lori, can you bring that up for a second? So again, the CTE template is just a suggestion, but it's already organized for you. It's organized in a very logical manner. You can simply contact CTE to get this template downloaded in Blackboard for you. But basically, the CTE template, you'll see it here on the left navigation screen is what I want to point you to. It's just a template that organizes the class. For example, you'll see a Start Here menu, course introduction, course assignments. We used to click on the course modules as well, Michelle.
Mm-hmm.
as course modules. You'll see this class is neatly divided into modules where students know where to find the information. And the premise to this, if more instructors start using this template, it does provide some consistency with students, whether they have a biology class or a statistics class. If the template is set up similar, they always know where to go to get information, how to start here. They know where the syllabus is going to locate it. And then they also know where the course modules are. So it does provide some consistency, where on the other hand, you have 5 classes and their whole Blackboard pages are totally set up in 5 different ways. So again, managing workloads for you. You have a template here that you can just go simply plug in the information. The labels are already there. And then consistency for students, where if all of their Blackboard classes start to at least be similar in some fashion, then it makes it easy for them to navigate and find the information that they need. All right, thank you, Michelle.
At this point, I would like to chime in and just add that there's a tremendous benefit to making courses within one department look similar. I'm not sure if it's realistic to say that we want to standardize the look of the courses across departments, but at least in one department, I think it is possible. We have done that in the College of Nursing, and our students on end of course evaluations always point out that it really makes their life a lot easier.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So thank you for that, Vera. So again, we talked about the CTE, and as Vera just pointed out, standardized courses within the department. At least that's there, and they have some consistency. As far as from a instructor standpoint, managing workloads, if you have multiple sections of the same course where you're delivering the exact same information, considering contacting Blackboard, the Blackboard team, and asking them to combine those courses into one course on your Blackboard page. That way, you don't have to juggle between those classes. To make the courses easy to navigate, we look at that CTE template where the labels stand out, the labels are organized. If a student is looking for a syllabus, there's a label that says syllabus and course due dates. If a student is looking for their assignments, it says course assignments. So they don't have to try to figure out where the information is. The information is listed there in a logical order, so students are easy to get it. So another big point is identifying a starting point in a class. Think about a student who has multiple classes, and now they've got to figure out, where do I start with this class? How do I access information with this class? In your class, if there is an identifiable place that they can go to that explains how to get started in the class, step-by-step instructions that tell them, do step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4 to get started in those classes. This link may have a video that goes through like a course tour. I've seen it where professors will record a video and they go through Blackboard. For example, the video will show, here is where you access your assignments. Here is where the syllabus is. Here is where you turn in assignments. So it actually looks at that entire Blackboard course and it walks them through where they can access information. Students love videos. It's always good if you can have a video, because I believe, and I've seen in my own classes, that if you give them a good start at the very beginning, that kind of trickles down. They get a lot of confidence in that the class is organized, they're not stressed at the beginning. But if you give them specific and direct information at the very beginning of the class, that kind of sets the stage for the rest of the class. So again, a secure link, a course tour video, an introduction to the course, explain your expectations. Give them the same information. Let's say if you're in a face-to-face class, give them that same information. Make sure they know exactly where to go and what to do. We did show you on the CTE template how the classes are organized in modules. Again, this makes it easier for students as well as far as consistency and organization. And within the modules, let's say you have module for week 1, everything that the student needs for that entire module should be in that folder. Whether it's a reading or a test or assignment, keep it all in that one folder. We've seen some classes where the quizzes are on a separate link, the assignments are on a separate link, the tests are on a separate link. It does help with consistency if you create modules and keep everything in that folder. Because if I'm a student, week 1, I'm going into the week 1 folder and everything I need is there. I don't have to go out in Blackboard and click on links for everything I need. So again, those are just a few best practices for helping faculty and staff manage their workloads and also helping students manage their workloads. So finally, again, we looked at the modules. We keep emphasizing keep the information in the modules. You want to list the learning objectives. Tell the students this is what, when you finish this module, this is what you should be able to do. Set that clearly and make sure that you use action verbs, like you'll be able to explain, you'll be able to describe, then a list of the learning activities. All those things should be there. If there's readings or there's videos, there are links to assignments. Always make sure that the due dates are clearly indicated. And I would recommend that you put the due dates in more than one place. You can put it on the due date schedule. You can put it within the module where the assignment is due, so that students will have multiple references. And finally, check your class. Make sure all the links work. There's nothing more frustrating than for a student if they're in a class and they're trying to access information and the links don't work. So check your link, whether the links are on Blackboard or if you have links in your schedule, make sure that you check the links to make sure that they work. Okay, Rivera, we're going to start part 3.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you. And we are starting part 3 on the assumption that we have already taken care of everything that was discussed in parts 1 and 2. So we figured out the appropriate workload for the students, and we organized the course nicely in those weekly modules or weeks. So to again help the students and help the faculty, let's think about attendance. Do we know exactly what we mean when we say attendance in a synchronous online class? So how are the students going to prove to you that they attend your class, that they actually come to class? And what does it mean in an asynchronous online course? Well, I get these questions from the faculty member. Well, how do I know I'm teaching an asynchronous online course? So how do I keep track of attendance? Do I need to look at how they log into the course? Yes, you can do that, but that's not probably the most efficient and effective way to handle it. I know that there are different departmental rules concerning attendance in online courses for synchronous components and then attendance in an asynchronous online course. To make this situation easier for both students and faculty, I always recommend that we reconsider the whole concept of attendance in an online course. If a student connects to a course and completes all required activities and assignments for this week, is it not attendance? It is. Is it not participation? It is. And you can set up your weekly modules with activities that will be captured and graded by the Grade Center. So now the Grade Center is keeping track of your attendance and participation. So for asynchronous online courses at the College of Nursing, we set up our weekly modules with a quiz, a content quiz that will show that the student is actually working on the course content. And then we always think of an application type activity so that the student can demonstrate to the faculty that now they can apply this knowledge to a real life situation. And also the students have a means of telling the faculty what it is that they are struggling with. So surveys become very, very important for us. And it can be a muddiest point or a biggest challenge, or you can ask students their opinion on a specific topic. So now they are in the course and they are doing something and they are showing to you how they are using and applying the knowledge learned in a particular module. And again, quizzes can be set up so that they are totally automated. And the surveys are also totally automated. You will see those neat little green checks in the Grade Center. And we always tell students these surveys are anonymous. So please open up and tell us what it is that you're struggling with, or what it is that could help you get this particular content, or totally process this particular content and apply it. And then if you having a paper as a major assignment in your course, then maybe you can split it into smaller chunks so that students are writing that one big paper all along. It doesn't just hit them hard at the end of the course. And if you have a nice little grading rubric for each mini writing assignment, then again, grading is going to be easier and students are getting feedback on their performance. And again, these quizzes, surveys, and mini writing assignments, they work well for the instructor, and they work wonderfully well for the students, because students are taking a quiz and they immediately know whether they are doing okay on this particular piece of content or they need to review something. And we look at these quizzes as check your knowledge, allow students multiple attempts, and on midterm evaluations, students tell us that they really, really help them learn. And the way they use these quizzes, they would go through the content just as the instructor asks them to do. Then they take the quiz the first time, see where they are. Then they have to look up those topics which they missed or didn't perform as strongly on them, and take the quiz another time, and then finally take a quiz another time. And sometimes what we see with students utilizing these multiple attempts, somebody has already achieved 100 on a quiz. So they can just now rest on their laurels, but at the end of that week, students will go back and retake that quiz just to make sure that they retain the information. And here we see self-regulation developing, and it just really, really working well, both for the students and for the instructor. What's hard for the instructor in a fully asynchronous course where you don't visually see the students is to trust that the students are doing the right thing, that they are learning. And I think that an overwhelming majority of our students are really wanting to learn and acquire new skills, and they just need the tools to do that, to self-assess, move forward, and also tell the instructor what it is that they're struggling with. So this structure with small automated assignments allows students to accomplish that goal. Okay. Also here, what helps us engage the students and keep them motivated from week to week to week to week in an asynchronous online course, or bisynchronous course, which is an asynchronous course with synchronous meetings from time to time, or in a hybrid course, is when you make all assignments interesting, relevant, and authentic. And in the context of nursing, case studies just work wonders. What you can do with a case study is, again, to help you with checking attendance and participation, is make it a weekly assignment. And then you can collect student answers through a test link or a survey link. Again, it depends upon to which extent you depend the students. You trust your students. And also providing immediate feedback. So everybody is doing well with this case study, and you have come up with wonderful ideas, but also consider this and that. And moving forward, I challenge you to, bring this and that to your thinking. So you can even consider giving credit strictly for participation, for completion of each assignment. In that case, you don't have to grade everybody's input. You just have to quickly scan all the answers, identify the major themes, and then talk to students about what you see in their answers and what they can do to improve. In the nursing care of the older adult, we took this approach of presenting a case study to students every week. And throughout the whole semester, students are working with the same patient. Now, it is amazing what critical thinking students can develop just by working with a hypothetical patient that encounters a different scenario every week. And we do grade it only for completion. But because students get so involved with the case study, because it is so interesting to them, and they really like solving problems every week, they learn a lot about what older adults encounter in their lives every day and how they can help them get better. It's really interesting that, in another course, students have to go to clinical, and some of them get placed in nursing care facilities, in rehabilitation facilities, and they can immediately apply what they learned from the case study to what they see in clinical. So with relevance and authenticity of tasks embedded in case studies or assignments, we can keep everybody interested and learning a lot. And again, the loveliest part is that the Grade Center now keeps track of everybody's participation. And so with weekly small stakes assignments, you can see immediately who is participating, who is not, and whom you need to contact. And in the asynchronous courses, all these problems with attendance and participation can surface up sooner than in fully face-to-face courses. Okay. And yeah, can we do group work in fully asynchronous online courses, say with 100 students, 150 students, 200 students? Absolutely, absolutely. But orchestration of group work requires a lot of thought and planning. So you will need to articulate detailed instructions for collaborative assignments, and definitely come up with a grading rubric. Whenever we use group work in the College of Nursing, we always administer the peer evaluation instrument so that students can hold each other accountable. Now, it doesn't work perfectly, but it does provide an instrument to measure participation, and then students know about it. We talk to them about how important peer evaluation is, and so out of 25 groups, there may be a couple of groups where there'd be conflict or something going on, but again, in the majority of contexts, this works very well. Then we create group areas with communication tools. The instructor records an orientation to the project video where they can verbally elaborate on what it is that's required of the students, and also provide suggestions on how to approach the project in the most efficient way. We create a special course area with all kinds of materials related to the project. And here's a screenshot. A screenshot kind of shows you how it's organized in the care of the older adult course. We have the list of topics. We have a wiki on which students sign up for the topics. We have a wiki project overview video. We have the link to the requirements and grading rubric. We have step-by-step instructions for creating and editing wikis in Blackboard, and it goes on and on and on. So anything that they need when working on a project, they can find in this area. Every weekly guide contains directions on what groups should accomplish during that week. And then what really makes things happen is when you set up check-in points for groups, and then the leader from each group, or the entire group, if they can work it in a schedule, has to come to a mandatory consultation with the faculty and bring specified deliverables to those consultations. You have to say, for the first consultation, it is always a full outline and at least 5 references, and introduction background section needs to be fully developed. So again, we help the students to build the project throughout the entire semester and not put it off till the very last moment. So with this organization, group work can actually function very nicely in large online courses. And at the very end of the semester, when projects are completed, we always organize peer review when groups look at projects created by other groups, and we set up a survey for students to vote on the best overall product and also the most creative. And that's how we make sure that they look at more than their own project and learn a lot from each other. And students, yeah, they enjoy voting for the most creative and best overall. And we do instruct them not to vote for their own. Well, at this point, any questions about how assignments can be organized so that the faculty is not overburdened by the grading and the students are working throughout the semester and not saving everything till the very last possible moment in the course? So on things that you grade for completion only, do you tell them? Yes, yes. Students know what's going to be graded for completion only and what's going to be graded for quality ahead of time. And I know the argument that I always get against this strategy is that they will slack off and there will be no quality in their answers. And our experience does not show that it is so. In fact, our experience shows that if the tasks are interesting and relevant, the students really take it seriously and put in even more work than we would expect them to. But the faculty provides feedback every week and talks to students about what they as a group do very well and what they and where they really need to improve their thinking. And there's another strategy which we use to make sure that everybody puts in the effort for these completion only activities. Individual feedback is provided through the grade center, and the instructor takes a third of the class every week, quickly reviews their submissions, and enters comments. You are doing really well, or here you really need to step up and show me why explain to me why you are choosing this strategy. Students receive these comments from time to time, and it's just a perception that the faculty is looking at everything every week. But in fact, every week the faculty is only looking at the aggregated data and gives individual feedback to only a third of the students. It has worked really well for us. Okay, so let us quickly move on to effective communication strategies, because yes, well-designed courses and courses with absolutely lovely activities where everything is relevant and exciting can fail unless there's a good, sound communication strategy which takes care of students' emotional needs and projects faculty presence. And the first thing here is, yes, you have to respond to emails and discussion board messages in a timely manner. And what is a timely manner? It looks like right now, for 24 hours has become a standard in asynchronous online education. Now that's 24 hours, it's not 5 minutes, you don't have to respond immediately. On weekends and holidays, it's 48 hours. We surveyed all of our graduate students about faculty behaviors which communicate caring to students, and students told us they do not expect faculty to respond on the weekends. They are pleasantly surprised when a quick and timely response happens over the weekend. So the students do understand that the faculty need their personal time. So, and they are not really abusing that privilege. So 24 to 48 hours. One of our faculty members who is absolutely beloved by the students, and the students think that she is always in that course. This faculty member told me that she actually feels guilty about how little time she spends checking on her course. She connects first thing in the morning, then disconnects for the day, and then reconnects at the end of the day to check on, what happened since the morning. This creates and because she responds to questions on the discussion board, and she posts frequent announcements, this creates an impression that she is always there. And because the faculty is visible in the course, she is always there, then everything is fine with the world and the students are happy and at peace. Frequent announcements. I know Yvette told me that she calls them newsletters and that students are really looking forward to them. I always recommend that announcements should be posted at twice every week. At the beginning of the week, it's a welcome. Welcome to week 3. This is going to be a very exciting week. We will discuss this topic, and your assignments are da 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 da, and have a good week. Let me know if you need anything. Then at the end of the week, usually on Friday, it's a reminder. Please remember that, by the end of Sunday, you need to submit quiz 1 and, a mini paper. It works. It really works. Some faculty would say, oh, that's too much hand-holding, you are coddling them. But we all need that. We all need to know what's ahead, and we all need to be reminded of what's due from us. And you can certainly, if you are teaching the same course semester after semester or once every year, you can save all this beginning of the week and end of the week announcements, and that will speed your work even further. Also, a technique that has been very successful for us, in addition to announcements, also posting weekly videos. Now, the weekly videos we usually record with Blackboard Collaborate. And in this video, the faculty provides a very brief overview of the next week, can insert any kind of special advice related to the student assignments for that particular week, and also gives feedback to the class on last week's assignments. Okay. This is critical because students need to see that their work is being read by the instructor and that it's important. So, and also, since you are not limited in what you are going to say, these videos are short, but you can extend them a little bit. You can talk about the events that are important for the students. And how if they keep up with USC sports, then you can talk about the game scores. You can really present yourself as an avid Gamecock, and that allows you to connect with the students emotionally. So every week at the beginning, the students will get a welcome announcement. And in this welcome announcement, our faculty usually tell them, look for the weekly video by the end of Monday. And then the students will view a short weekly video. I always recommend that we don't go beyond 10 minutes because the students already have a list of all the activities that they need to connect. Now we are just elaborating on that. And then at the end of the week, students get a reminder. Don't forget to submit quiz 1 and remember that your mini paper 3 is due at the end of Sunday. So taking care of business and also making sure that the faculty is visible to the course, to the students. And the faculty connects to the students emotionally. Okay. And then other things that not very labor intensive, but this helps you establish a really nice, warm atmosphere in the class, and where everybody is included and everybody's needs are taken care of. And then, of course, students will feel that you, the faculty, are taking care of them. So during the first week, we always do introductions on the class discussion board. But besides all the usual information, just tell me where you live and how you handle things, let's ask students about their accomplishments or what strengths, skills they are already bringing to the course. So this allows us to see our students from their strongest side. We shouldn't be focusing so much on their deficiencies, but on the stronger skills and experiences which they bring to the course. The faculty responds to each student's introduction, again, with just one sentence or maybe two sentences, but it is so important to receive that one, to receive that personal acknowledgement from the faculty, that a student is more than just a word on the screen. And always use, another tip is always use names in communications. Praise and encouragement. When we surveyed the students about faculty caring behaviors, they talk to us about how important for them to hear those words of praise and encouragement. So you can include those words in your welcome to this week announcement and definitely in your weekly video. This is indeed a suggestion from our students that the faculty, they just really need to hear from the faculty that the faculty believe that the students can succeed in this course no matter what. Despite COVID, despite hectic family schedules, hectic work schedules, you guys can do it, and I'm here for you. Timely feedback on assignments. And again, timely feedback, we always have to determine what it is. If it's a paper, then your timely feedback is probably within 5 business days. And students are perfectly willing to wait even longer, a week or maybe 2, if they know your time frame. And again, feedback, to minimize the faculty work, feedback can be provided to the whole class in that same weekly video, so the students will know that you have looked at their work, even that work that they submit only for completion, for participation. And then individual feedback provided through the Grade Center. And again, students know your time frame for feedback on assignments. They will be perfectly willing to wait for it. So that's how we handle timeliness of feedback to keep everybody happy with what's happening in the course. And again, if a student knows, and if the student sees proof that the faculty is looking at their work, they will be more willing to wait patiently. And also consider this, emotional closure at the end of the semester. What we started doing is either building a very short final reflections paper in the last week of the course, just like 300 words, and tell me how you changed during this semester. What new skills did you learn? How will you remember this course? Or simply, let's meet in the student cafe on the class discussion board one more time, and please tell me how you will remember this course. What is one thing that really stood out for you, one thing that you found most useful? And it is so heartwarming and so affirming and so sweet to read those student messages. And then, it's not a mandated activity if it's just saying goodbyes on the discussion board, but a third of your students will definitely post their comments and even respond to each other. So this provides for that emotional closure at the end of the semester, just like you would do in a face-to-face class. So, of what we discussed today in parts 1, 2, 3, and 4. Remember the workload, course organization, designing short, relevant activities to keep the students engaged, and finally, communication strategies. Is there anything that you would like to take from this workshop and apply to your course? Okay, workload estimator for students. Yes, that's great.
Yes, great.
A video at the beginning. Yes, that has been very successful. And it doesn't have to be a long video. Just talk to students like you would in a face-to-face course. It's interesting how in a face-to-face course, faculty never run out of things to say to students. Yes, what it's going to take.
Yes.
We, as part of the syllabus section, in addition to posting the syllabus, the document, and then the course schedule, we post how to study and succeed in this course and articulate learning advice there. And it's really interesting how different faculty think about what a student should do to be successful. For example, what should they do first? Read the textbook, the assigned chapters, or listen to the lecture? And it can vary from course to course. If this is never discussed anywhere, how would a student know? They will fall back on what they did previously, but that might not be the best strategy. Oh, the surveys to check in regularly with the class, yes. Because otherwise, if you don't ask what is it that you're struggling with, students may not ever take the initiative to do that on their own. Okay, can anybody provide an example of their most successful strategies to keep students engaged, to give feedback, and manage the workload, and particularly the grading load?
Vera, one thing that we do in one of my classes, again, just to keep engagement and again managing workloads, is I have a discussion board, and part of that discussion board is just for assignments. For example, it may be chapter 1. If students have questions about an assignment, then they post it on the discussion board, and then other students can answer it. And then I'll go in and I'll give, at the end of the semester, I'll give some extra credit for you participating in that way. And what I found is when I do that, when a student post a question, then other students really have had that same question, and then everybody just start giving feedback. And then now I have some students, they'll tell me, well, before I start an assignment, I'll go to the discussion board to see what's being said about that assignment. And then I'll add to it if I've already done that assignment. So it engages the class as a whole. Although the class is online, they have this medium where they can talk to each other about the assignments and get help. And I think, as we know, in an online class, one of the chief complaints is students feel alone. They feel like they're out there all by themselves. But then when they have this community of students who are chiming in and helping them, I've seen that been a great benefit to the students.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Okay. Here we have a few resources that we think might be helpful. These are instructional design tips for organizing your course. The books listed here are those books where you can find descriptions of very interesting activities with grading rubrics already developed, grading rubrics for papers and grading rubrics for online discussions and grading rubrics for group projects, peer evaluation instruments, and other interesting things. So the 4 books listed here on this slide are my go-to books when a faculty member asks, "No, well, what else can I do in my class? Or do you have a grading rubric for a paper? Do you have a grading rubric for a class discussion, for reflection?" And I say, okay, well, let's look for it. The one complaint about online courses that we hear quite frequently these days is that online courses end up being loaded with extra work for students. The work that the instructor would not require in a face-to-face course. And so I think the reason for this happening and happening so frequently is that in an online course, whether it's a synchronous course or an asynchronous course, the faculty loses visual control over the students. We don't see them working. We don't see them doing course-related things. So we may easily start thinking that the students are goofing off. Well, if they are not here, I don't see them working, then they must be goofing off. And we add things that we would never require from students in a face-to-face course. So when you are designing an online course, activities will change, but we still have to keep them within a reasonable amount and not load our online courses with what is busy work. And if it's busy work, just to show that the students are reading the book or that they're looking at the lectures, there's just no way to camouflage the fact that it is just busy work, and the students will be highly resentful of that. But making it meaningful, asking meaningful questions, or having students practice tasks that are relevant to their future profession, and all of a sudden everything is turned around and the course is not perceived as just being busy work, but as something that gives students critical thinking skills and prepares them to their future profession. So to conclude this workshop, I would like to appeal to everybody to please use instructional design expertise that's available at the Center for Teaching Excellence, because these things, designing engaging online activities, it just requires another person to, you know, discuss your ideas, to brainstorm, to come up with things that maybe you never considered before. So, and it's easy to request a consultation with an instructional designer. So, oh, I see a really nice suggestion here. In a class of 70 students, 400 level, I give students a lot of options to pick and choose topics to discuss in weekly forums. Yes, definitely. Yes, that is really great. Whenever students can choose a topic, they feel a sense of ownership for it.